like inside an elevator, and he was like listening to a bunch of word vomit, a bunch of corporate word vomit. So like, how many of you guys work in corporate? Like, or have worked in a corporate environment where you had to use that fake jargon, that corporate jargon, right? All day. Yeah. It's like, for example, someone be like, we have to really make sure that as we scale, that we do so in a practical way in the vector of alignment of B2B and B2C cross like retroactively between all of the departments, blah 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 blah, or like, or we have to make and in the process we have to make sure that we're not degrading our deliverables by underperforming, so making sure that we're above 50% on all of our actionable um uh all of our actionable blah 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 in the pipeline, so that way we can really be forward and progressive in the industry, yada yada yada. They just be like blah 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 blah, right? And so I was reading the comment section. The comment section was really funny, and one of the comments was like vocab maxing, and it had like 200 or something, however many thousand likes on the comment alone, right? Um, and I was just like, oh yeah, huh? Vocab maxing, I'm not really super hip with the lingo that I've been hearing. Um, like I don't even really know what LARPing is, for example, but so I'm not really super hip on like modern lingo. I probably need to like educate myself on it. But I was like, oh yeah, vocab maxing. Okay, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That's what that is. And so anyway, I kind of thought about it very quickly, and I was like, that's like probably what it sounds like to a lot of other people to listen to traders teach about trading. It probably sounds like a lot of trading jargon. Um, I know for me, it sounds like a lot of trading jargon. When I hear someone say consequent encroachment, and that just means 50%, I'm like, okay, you know, it's like, why? Um, and so it's just like there's a lot of jargon out there. Now, the thing is, though, there is still a need for literacy. It's not like words don't matter. It's not like words can't exist at all, but it can be simple, right? And so people usually want to gravitate not so much so to a simple way of trading. I'm gonna be honest with you. Being teaching for like the past 4 years, um, I've noticed that what's more important is for people to have an easy way to comprehend, or a way to understand, to bridge the gap in awareness between their level of literacy to the level of competence that they need to ascertain to trade successfully. And then all of that has to happen in a way that they can understand. So it's very like use case specific, to be honest, being like a coach or a mentor to people. Because at the end of the day, we might all trade maybe some similar concepts, but the application and the approach to said concepts are going to vary from person to person, you know. Um, of, Otherwise, it will look like a bunch of schoolgirls and school kids going to school wearing the same uniform, right? Blue shirt, navy blue pants, everyone's all, like we'll keep going to school looking like that. Like, but in reality, no. My name's Romel. Your name is Brittany or Thomas or Clarissa or Zeke or whatever. So it's like there's always going to be some nuances with how we apply these simple concepts. But like I was saying, the the real important factor that's going to determine a person's initial inspiration, motivation, and low key their success is going to be how well do they understand what's necessary. And when the vocabulary is already a barrier to entry, you could just forget about it, right? So a lot of us, a lot of you guys come through various backgrounds. Some of you guys have ICT backgrounds, right? But for the most part, you guys, relatively understand. You guys kind of have that ICC framework, right? And why? Why was that so attractive? Why did that blow up so much? It was because the vocabulary was the strategy. That was the hook. Indication, correction, continuation. Right. See, Montana, simplicity, right? And so the thing is that some people don't know the difference between simplicity and simpleness. Who here, yeah, I'm recording this. It's all good. Who here can guess what I'm saying the difference is between simplicity and simpleness is? I'm very I'm very curious. Simpleness and simplicity. It's going to tie directly into everything I just said. Simpleness and simplicity. Okay, Future Ninja says it sounds. I can't even pronounce that. I ain't gonna lie. So I'm gonna say it sounds like a synonym. Okay, but it sounds synonymous. Oh, I think you spelled it wrong. I think that's why I'm tripping. I don't know. Sounds synonymous. Okay, yeah, that's true. So like simpleness versus simplicity. What do you think the difference is? Sounds the same, right? I'm waiting for someone to say it. Is simplicity a way? Is that a question? Saying I got no idea. Come on, bro. Someone make me proud. I'll give you a hint. Okay, hold on. Simpleness lacks depth. Simplicity only gives you what you need. Okay, I can follow the train of thought. Let me give you a hint. It's a trick question. I'm not gonna waste too much time on this though. Don't chat GPT it. It's a trick question. Simplicity is the ease of understanding something. Simpleness is basically dumbing down the point of idiocy. Hold on. All right, hold on. I might have to pivot here and not even state my point because I don't think my point was valid that I was about to make. I'm doing some research right now. Hold on. Okay. Well, yeah, yeah. Great. Okay, cool. Good job, MC. You said I'm correlating simpleton to simpleness could be way off. No, it's very, very, very there. Now, I'm not gonna lie, okay? Full transparency, I was about to say simpleness ain't a word, bro. Just like how ain't a word, right? But we use it all the time. But I Googled it and I said, oh shit, simpleness is a word. Okay, cool. But it does flow directly into like what I'm about to talk about though. Because what my point was about to say is like we are striving for simplicity, not simpleness. I don't I never ever use the word simpleness. It doesn't even sound like a proper word to me. Simpleness, it sounds like you should say simplicity, right? They sound synonymous. But doing a cross comparison of the words here on Google, I'll show you it states right here that simpleness refers to basic, plain, or uncompounded condition. It often implies a negative to a neutral lack of subtlety, word sophistication, and intelligence, akin to simple-mindedness, right? Or being a simpleton. I love simplicity, but simplicity refers to elegance, clarity, right? An intentional absence of clutter. In order to even get to this right here, to where you have an intentional absence of clutter in your thought process, your awareness, your understanding of things, you have to know what the clutter is. You have to be able to identify and delineate clutter between not clutter, right? So then you can differentiate, like basically strive towards simplicity. What does this one say? This is often achieved after only working through and understanding deep complexity, right? This is really kind of the season that I've been in, okay, for most of my life, but also my trading careers, um, my teaching career. And I had already taught on this before in the past. I've already tried to make people aware that, hey guys, to in order to keep it simple, you have to like know complex. You have to know complex. If you don't understand complexity, you won't be able to identify simplicity, right? This whole like dualism thing. Like in order to really know something well, you must know its opposite. In order to know the impact and the brilliance of light, you have to understand the darkness that the light is in. I'm not trying to get esoteric about it. I'm just trying to be logical about it. Okay. So, for example, I used to always say like ICC, the foundation, the framework that say like Psi had offered or given out to the community, whatever, it was simple. And because that's what it was supposed to be. I had used the analogy where it was like ICC can get you talking, but I just sent that post inside the chat about all those high school students or just people on the street who don't know how to read. So it's like, man, you can't judge a book by its cover. When you have someone who knows how to talk a good talk and you trust them, but then you realize that these niggas don't know how to read, you didn't do anything wrong by, you know, giving people the benefit of the doubt, um, and taking them at face value for how well they were able to talk. But then when it came time to explain, when it came time to expound, when it came time to, transcend the conversation, when it came time to, like whatever, that literacy only went so far. It had no technicality, it had no syntax, it had no grammar, it wasn't a complete thought. There was phrases unfinished. It just wasn't comprehensive enough, right? Listen to my words. Comprehensive, complex, those that COMP, that part of the rate, that part of the word is in both of those words. So whatever is comprehensive and whatever is complex, they're in the same family. Okay. So people want simplicity, or they want to keep things simple, but they also strive for comprehension, which means in order to get that and to marry these two things together, you need to understand complexity, then and then remove the clutter, remove what's unnecessary, and bridge all this stuff together to get simplicity. So simplicity is what we're all striving for. Okay. So like I said, I started this off talking about vocab maxing, but from a negative connotation, from a negative perspective, right? Why are we calling, oh, price went to 50% of this, consequent encroachment? The first time I ever heard someone say that, I heard, you got roaches? Like, I heard roach. I don't know what you just said. Consequent encroachment? Why are we using those words? Whose consequent, who's getting a consequence and what's being encroached upon. Like what, it's just a lot going on there, right? Even sometimes I had to really slowly bring in the word mitigated. I thought sometimes mitigated might be too much. So that's why I kind of just use tested or untested. We can kind of understand that when you say, what do you mean by mitigated? So it's like vocab has its place, but jargon, we need to take jargon all the way out of our equation. So, like I said, this video, this stream that I'm doing is going to be like a preliminary video. I'm going to post this on my channel before I start actually posting my content series. I'm just trying to give people like a preface of what I'm about to, like what my mission is. I want people to start here with this video to understand when you watch a video, this is my goal. My goal is to bring you simplicity, but I'm not a simpleton. And uh but and I am anti-jargon and I am pro vocabulary. Okay? I'm anti-jargon and I'm pro vocabulary. I'm not gonna say a bunch of words that just sound good, but I am going to use words well that will that I mean honestly, if you don't know them, you need to know them. That's really it. I've been in a couple other discords, just kind of being like a floating mentor to other like communities. People are trading and they don't even know what the word confluence is. How many of you guys think that confluence is a necessary term to know as a trader? Right? Would you believe me that when I knew that they didn't know the word confluence and I tried to teach them what a confluence was, that I got backlash and they said, "Bro, it don't take all that." All right. Like that's the type of behavior that I be going through when I'm trying to teach people, when I'm trying to show people like, hey, maybe technicals don't matter as much as they might matter to me because there is a way to break it down simply. But what does matter is making sure that your comprehension is on par to be a comprehensive or a complete trader, to know how to participate in the market environments regardless of what they are. And then based on you, you can tailor how you choose to interact or what market environments you want to trade in. I can market environment, big words. Yeah. I hope market environment is not a big word or a phrase to you. You know what a market is. You go to the supermarket all the time. You know what a market is. You can think about what a market is. Okay, great. Boom. You know what an environment is. So now just put them together. It's like to me, it's just like I don't, whatever. So whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to just jot down a couple of my fundamental uh I guess I'm gonna call it vocabulary, but um I don't know what word to put here. Necessary verbiage or understanding. I'm kind of gonna give you like everything that I say is gonna be filtered through this thought process. All right. So this is my version. This is Romel's take on simplicity. That's basically what I'm saying. This is how Romel, over the course of all these years, bro, okay, my computer bugging. This is how Romel, over the course of all of these years, has found simplicity for himself. Okay, so I'm doing good on time. It's 20 minutes. I'm gonna make this video no more than an hour, and then we can chill here and talk for a little bit more. Okay, so pick a color: red, green, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. gonna pick the first one. Red. All right. So what am I gonna call this? Forgive my handwriting if it's bad. I haven't used this in a minute. Romel's simple framework. I think this is probably going to be extremely valuable to most people because if you're going to learn from me, I think it wise that you learn my framework, how I actually think about the market straight up in a simple way, all right? So, step 1, when it comes to the market, I think that the market can move, and you guys have already seen a video on this maybe, okay? I think the market can move fast, and I like to be dramatic. Hold on with my writing. Fast or slow. Okay? Fast or slow. The market can also go up or the market can go down. That's really it. What else can the market do? Who has any good guesses, okay? It's everything's very binary, everything's just either or. The market can go fast, it can move fast, or it can move slow. The market can go up, it can go down. What else can the market do? Okay, let's go ahead and add that as a complementary one. I don't even think of the market as going sideways. I'm gonna be very honest with you. My simple framework doesn't allow for me to consider the market going sideways. I want to make that kind of clear. As far as the direction goes, okay? Let me sort of explain this because if I think of the market going sideways, then what that does in my autistic brain, bro, is it introduces another direction that I have to consider. It means that now you're telling me the market can go this way, right? AKA sideways. I don't like to think like this. There is a part of me that is capable of doing this and I do it well, but living in this gray area doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me in life to live in this gray area that much. It causes my mind, my spiritual understanding, my emotions to be so choppy, like literally like the price action of a sideways moving market. It causes me to it causes me to live as though this is my experience. Or here, I'm gonna go to let me turn this off. Go to like NQ or something. I'm not trying to do that. Okay? Like there's not really much money even for me to make if the market is choosing to be on this type of timing. Like unless I know how to execute this well, right? I have to be in my right frame of mind. I have to know exactly what I'm doing, where I'm looking at, because if I'm living turbulent like this, very choppy in my thought process, in my emotions, in my spiritual undertakings and well-being or awareness, I don't do well. Okay. So I don't even like to think of the market as something that goes sideways. I know it does. Okay. But yeah, I know it goes sideways, but to be honest, it only goes up or down. Okay? As a result of that, what I actually do instead of considering the market as something that goes sideways, I instead understand that the market creates a range or an area of balance. So this is how I the account for the fact that a sideways market condition can be observed. But I do not think about the market going sideways, because if I think about the market going sideways, then now I can't press the button that says sideways and make money. Okay? So this right here is simplicity to me. Thinking about the market as going sideways to me is clutter. However, it's simple, but to my desire, I don't have a sideways button that I can press. I have a button that says down and I have a button that says up, sell or buy. And that's how I make money. So if the market is sideways, I still need to examine, well, where is the market down from and where is the market up from and what happens after we stop ranging. I'm not going to consider or think about the market as going sideways as a direction, because it will mess me up. Does that make sense? However, I cover my basis by looping in the idea or the concept of a sideways moving market. I loop that into my awareness and my understanding by saying, okay, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to think about the market as going sideways. So instead, I'm going to think about the market as something that's, let me use a different color, because if you guys watch my channel, or whatever, I usually be marking out areas of balance as blue for me personally. So I don't think about the market as going sideways. I think about it as balanced. Okay. And then obviously now this presents me a perfect, simple framework to understand the next thing I need to focus on is the imbalanced. And that's how I got to this awareness, actually. I'm like actually showing you the way my mind processed going from teaching that, hey guys, this right here is a no trade zone. We don't want to trade when the market is ranging. We don't want to trade for my order flow friendly people or whatever when the market is finding value. We want to wait for the market to finish finding its value and then trade away from it or to another area of value or whatever the case is. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. For me, for example, if I did this and I followed size instructions, right? I would be finding myself in a circumstance like, okay, well, the market broke the low. Perfect. We traded away. That's an indication to the downside. But now hold on. Like, how many of you guys, as an ICC trader in the past, found yourself kind of confused because now what am I doing? I have an indication coming down and an indication going up. Where's my trade at? I don't know what's going out. I don't know what's going on, right? And then I'm trying to track market structure. Like, I thought we were bearish. Why did we just break this? And then you see that we start coming down. So you get into sells and you see you continue here. And it's like we don't know what we're doing, right? This right here is the result of being too simple. I promise you. Okay. I'm not gonna be saying like I'm the best ICC student, but I mean I trust my research and I trust that like I took the concepts and I extrapolated all of this from one logical thought after another until it got so complicated that I was able to boil it all the way back down. It took time. You guys have been kind of like a victim of my research, right? Some people are able to clock it, some people are not, but now I'm in the process of boiling everything back down. boiling it back down to keep it super simple, because now I'm going to declutter it, right? But I'm trying to show you though, before I get too off track and I dive into this, because after this video, I'm making my how to trade course episode 1 through 10. Like, I'm gonna put it up there. It might even be to 20 or something, but I'm going to do that. So going back to this, I'm just saying this right here is the result of simpleness. This is not simplicity, okay? This is not a this is not the absence of clutter. This is not elegant. This is it seems clear, but it's not. Consolidarity. Consolidarity means to bring together into single whole or make form, okay? So look at this word, consolidate, consolidation. Look at this, consolidation, going sideways, whatever. Like, but consolidarity is the togetherness of multiple things to come together. Like a human being, for example, you are a consolidated thing, okay? But you have a muscle system, skeletal system, nervous system, lymphatic system, reproductive system, all these different systems that make you up. They all have their own infrastructure, your blood vessels, your airways, and all that kind of stuff, and then your digestive system, and they all have something that flows through them to make them work. Blood flows through your blood vessels, right? I'm trying to get you to understand how to think. It's simple. Blood has to flow through the blood vessels and arteries. Air has to flow through your lungs. Food has to flow through your digestive system. So once again, it is simple. But look at how complex the human body is. Okay? If we're trying to learn something, anything, it could be trading, learning an instrument, learning ourselves, our psyche, our physical bodies, health and wellness, and all that kind of stuff. You have to dive into the murky, muddy, uncomfortable complexities and then just hash through it until it is simple, until you have simplicity left over. Okay? Anyway, let's just get back on track. So, what I'm saying is this is the best that I have to offer for the my simple framework of how trading goes. I don't want to think about sideways as a direction ever in my life because I don't make money when the market goes sideways. I make money when the market goes up or down. So let's not think about sideways as a direction, but let's compensate for that and thinking about that as a balanced market, okay? Or imbalanced market. Now, you could interchange different vocabulary words. It's not going to change what this is. You could say this is a value area. I'm tripping. You could say that this is a value area, okay? Which is basically what it is, right? I mean, that's literally what it's called if you really want to go down that rabbit hole. And then if you have ICT background, ICT, all he does is he introduces the word fair. That's all he does, okay? And so he says it's a fair value area, okay? And that's how he teaches that. And all of this is nothing more than this, as per my perspective. Someone else is going to say, oh, Well, this is only this from their perspective. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. The base is being covered. All right. So this is called a fair value area. And then that means down here, this is always called that gap in value or fair value gap. Okay. That classic FVG that we always see, right? A fair value gap, right? I don't even like to think like I like to break up sentences and me personally, but anytime I see it, I always think of it as a gap in value, a gap in value areas, or a gap in areas of value, whatever, a gap in value areas, okay? Which that is so because I think of it this way, I mark it out the way that I think of it, okay? And I'll go over all of this in the subsequent episodes, okay? But like I said, all of this in my mind is nothing more than this, okay? So let me see if there's anything else in the framework that I need to mention, all right? What'd you say, Romel? You're such a teacher. It's the K for me. What K? I wrote a K somewhere. K? Oh, I don't know. So anyway, um, the market can either move fast or it can move slow. It can move up or it can move down. It's either going to be balanced or it's imbalanced. Um, Honestly, the last thing to include here is that this used to be in my bio on Instagram, on YouTube, on Discord for about a year and a half. For anyone who ever was in like one of my old Discords, this is gonna sound very familiar. I say that price either respects a level or breaks a level. Bro, wow, someone clocked that. Did y'all see me? I actually wrote the word or. That's crazy. I wrote an E right here. I had to delete that so fast, bro. I think I might be a slightly dyslexic. I don't know. Price either respects a level or breaks a level. I'm not gonna lie. I was about to write or break, and my mind thought about Minecraft breaking or, so I wrote the word or. That's how bro, I don't know what's wrong with me. But price either respects a level or breaks a level, okay? That's it. That's it. As far as like price action goes, this is all that I think about, okay? Price either respects a level or breaks a level. And like I said, this is price action. Now, I want to make a slight distinction that there is a difference between price action and market structure. Does anybody understand the difference? Yes or no, and type it in the chat. What is the difference between price action and market structure? This right here, from my framework, is a very specific answer because there's one thing that we haven't accounted for yet. Let me go ahead and let you guys look at the screen. What haven't we accounted for? The market moves fast or slow. It goes up or down. It's either balanced or imbalanced. Price either respects a level or breaks a level. What haven't we accounted for yet? That's going to get lumped into why price action and market structure are different. Okay, someone says price action creates market structure. Price action, the now, market structure, what has been done? I gotta move you straight up to radiant for that one, bro. Good job. Fractals, someone says market structure shows the overall direction. Hold on, let me see. Market structure shows the overall direction, while price shows how price was behaving within that structure. That is also very that's fire too. I didn't even think about that nuance, but it's true. Yes. I know that to be true, but I didn't even think about it like right now. But it's literally exactly what I do. Time, left to right. Yes, time was the missing factor. Notice, guys, how I'm changing people's names, like I'm changing their role color. This is my personal way to keep track of people who participate, people who show up. If you don't show up and you don't participate, or I don't see you trying or doing anything actively in chat, or you don't show up at least for the live streams, like for example, Tam K, I made your name blue one day because I noticed how long you stayed for a live stream. So even though you don't participate in chat, I still make sure that you're on the in. Okay. So if there's any of you guys who, when you type, your name doesn't have a color to it, it's because I need some participation from you. And this is my way to recognize that you're showing up when you can. I know we have lives and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I am only a man and I can only perceive what I can see. So if I can't see you participating, I can't confirm if you're actually benefiting off any of the information, resources, notes, lectures, anything that's going on in this group. And I do not desire to have a group full of inactive members. Okay. But I try to, you know, whatever. So I'm putting it out there again if that applies to any of you guys, but I think literally everyone in here should be good. So let's see what Zeke says. One is the conversation between buyers and sellers, market structure, and one is what's already been done after the conversation, price action. Yes, the idea that you have that before and after aspect in there is really what I'm touching on. So the answers is basically time, okay? Price action is the movement of price that can be observed and tracked now, now, or whenever you are trading, okay, now, in my opinion, right? And market structure is what has been done, but what has been created, right? Created already from past price action. So created is past tense, okay? So what has already been done, yes, it's accurate. What's already been created. Um, Future Ninja's definition in my head, same thing. Market structure shows the overall market direction as well. That's what I use to gauge direction. Um, because that's how market structure ties into me trying to pick one. Okay, I need to pick one. So I use market structure to pick and gauge my direction. And then I use price action, which reveals to me, like he said, how price behaved to pick that direction. In my mind, even though it's not happening right now, the ability to take myself and place myself in the past in price and to understand if this was real time, this is how the price action moved to cause the market structure to get created in this way. I'm placing myself effectively back into the past on the chart to recall the price action to see if we ever need to revisit this area, how will we react in the future? Okay. And why is this so important? Because if you clock what I'm saying, the only way to live the best in the present is to connect the past and what has already happened and to connect the future and what has not happened. And the better you can connect the past with what has not happened, and then you align those two, you will be able to identify the present moment when it is time and where it is time to take that trade. It's simple, but it's complex. Do you guys understand how there's a difference between simpleness, okay, and simplicity? One is more comprehensive, one is way more like just uh, you know, it's not gonna get it's not gonna get it for me. It's not gonna get it done. So when it comes to my framework, all of my bases, as far as the technicals, are covered between under oh, I'm holding my pencil upside down. Is between understanding that there's a difference between two different things. I mean, that are closely related and connected. So, market structure. My gripe with a lot of the trading community, as I write this or as I try to double task, what is that called? Double task? As I try to, what do you call it when someone can do two things at once? Double task? Multitask. Let me not try to do that. Clearly, I'm not good at that. Market structure. So, market structure is um, historical to me, historical in nature, reflecting the result of prior price action. Okay. All right. Okay. This is going to segment, bro. This is going to segue me in to my next topic. Bro, I gotta get a grip on that. I be doing that way too much. This over here is real time in nature. To me, real time in nature. So I'm gonna scroll down. And like I said, one of my biggest issues with the trading communities and industries and people who say, for example, they make the claim that, oh, trading is all about market structure. Trading is all about price action. Or you have someone saying, yo, the only thing you need to be profitable is a fair value gap or inverse fair value gap and all this other stuff. Or never trade in a slow moving market. You never know. Maybe you should be executing your trade in a slow moving market. You might get the best price. Or it's like, I don't know. Like, have y'all heard that? Like, that whole, like, hey, only this matters type of mentality when it comes to like trading and people making videos and content? Like, it irritates me because I'm just like, I understand the severity of what you're trying to express and what you're trying to teach me, but I am aware enough to also know that if it was everything, then why do I still have a question? Okay. And my thought process is that if I can sit here and if I can actually formulate a question, a logical question that market structure cannot answer, then I need to know more. If I can sit here and formulate a question that price action cannot answer, I need to know more. That's my approach. And I ask questions until I have all of the bases covered. Once I have the bases covered, now I start to sculpt and tear away based off whatever works for me. What may work for me may not be exactly precisely whatever works for you. But one thing I can say is that however you approach the market, you're going to need to, just like how I did, cover these bases. The market moves fast and it moves slow. It ranges and then it doesn't ranges or it doesn't range. It goes up and it goes down, and then you need to have a methodology or a system to track price action or how the market is developing in real time. And then you need to have a system to understand historically how the market developed and what does that mean. How will that past dictate me today? Because it always does. We do not live in a timeline or in a realm, in a dimension where the past does not dictate the present. Maybe in some lofty, esoteric, otherworldly realm, schools of thought, blah, 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 we can understand certain things like that. But realistically, tangibly, to be earthly good, we just simply don't live and aren't subject to an environment, a physical realm atmosphere where anything that happened in the past does not dictate what happens today. Okay? Which is why it's so important that we're able to reference the past accurately and then scrub through it, declutter it, extrapolate what's necessary and what's potent for us, and then establish that and move forward effectively, efficiently, healthily. Okay. And when I make that statement, it's the same exact thing that we're trying to do on the chart. We're trying to reference the past accurately and scrub through it, declutter it, so we can make a present day action, aka take a trade, and age forward, grow our P&Ls, compound our accounts, blah blah blah, in a healthy, effective, efficient manner. As on the chart, as in life, as on the chart. As above, so below, as below, so above, as within, as without, so within. It's we want to live in resonance and in harmony. You don't get resonance and you don't get harmony if you don't live a life that doesn't reverberate back and forth between two poles, between how you feel versus what you think. Your outward circumstances and what's happening in the outer world versus the resolve and the resolve you have in your inner world. Like um you can't have a reconciled future without a reconciled past. It's like, and then understanding that the only thing we're experiencing is the movement from one thing to another thing, from one gradient to another gradient, from one extreme to another extreme, from immaturity to maturity, from not whole to whole, from less to more, and for some of us, from more to less. Sometimes less makes our life better. Sometimes more makes our life better. Sometimes we need help, and sometimes we shouldn't need any help. And just it gets very complex once you start bringing in this nice word that I love to live by called nuances. And like I said, this is the nuances is what makes you different from me. The nuances is what makes me different from you. It's what makes you an individual, right? And so, but you still are subject to the same thing I'm subject to. I'm still subject to the same thing you're subject to. You're not greater than I'm not greater than you. I'm not less than you, and you're not less than me. We are both the same. We are so in a very weird way, we're both the same, but we are also both separate. And being able to scrub through the difference between duality and non-duality, I'm using big words, but to be able to scrub through the difference between things that are separate and not or in unison, that is so important. Okay? It's important. To get back on track, I'm going to segue this into the fact that the framework is not done here. This framework is technical. Now, riddle me this. Is there more to trading than technicals? Yes or no? Hell yeah. There's a lot more to trading than technicals. So then that means, guess what? As comprehensive as this framework is, it's still incomplete. Go figure. So now, what am I missing, guys? That whole segue was to give you a hint. If all of this is the simplicity of my technical framework, what am I missing? And this right here, I'm probably not going to expect people to get because it's my framework, but I'm going to see. What am I missing? How would you? Okay, perfect. Maybe some of y'all are traders after all, right? Someone says sentiment. Yep. Human behavior, psychology, your mindset, psychological mindset. Okay. Yes. These are the answers, right? If you don't press the button, do you make money? No. So we're missing the human. We're missing the human that has to interact with this simplicity. Now, if this right here is you, okay? And then let's just say bro, I'm not gonna lie. I'm so in love with my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I feel so brilliant right now. Bro, I'm sorry. I'm just doing this and I'm teaching myself something right now. I'm sure I understand how I think because of why and how I drew this. This is crazy. But this right here is trading. Okay. Obviously, I picked these colors for a reason because yin and yang, buy and sell, right? And it shows you the dualistic nature of it as well as the non-duality of it, all wrapped up into one consolidated or unified container. On one side, you still have buyers, or you still have buyers and sellers. On another side, you still have sellers and buyers. But then you separate the two and understand that, well, there's a difference between this side of sellers and this side of buyers. But then all of it is wrapped up, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. But this is trading. It's very binary. It's very up and down, left, right, 1 and 0. Okay. But there's a lot of different combinations. If you, on the other hand, are hold on. Let me think. If this is you, I don't know how to draw. Hold on. I'm trying to draw this right. I'm trying to proportion it well. There we go. Now, if that's you, okay? Let me kind of try to figure this out. This is you said this is not me. It is you. It's everyone, okay? All right. You guys understand that primary colors come together. The three primary colors, they come together, and you know, like white light, okay? The color white light right here in the middle, that's what this would be if all of these came together. Like if this was red light and this was blue light and this was yellow light and they all came together, they intersect right here and they would give off white light, okay? Because all of the colors or whatever of white light, the spectrum, you get that whole color spectrum stuff. Okay, cool, right? This is you. Let me go ahead and bring up another example of you. Like this right here is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, this is you. Okay, but we got our overall red and our yellows and blues or whatever, and they, you know, those are our primary colors is what I'm trying to say, right? They all come together nice. But this is you. Very complex. But in the center, we're all the same. Okay. However, when we delineate from one another, let me type in a very order flow friendly word called absorption. There it is. Okay. Sheesh, it's so big. Pause. All right. This is also you. Okay. I'm trying to prove a point real quick. So all of us have basically all the colors on the spectrum, right? But now what starts to separate one thing from another In this case, we have elements, sodium, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, okay? When it comes to this, based on our perception, sometimes you can appear as though you are missing a lot or that you have a lot. What I'm trying to get to is that when it comes to everything that makes up you and who you are, okay? Your emotions, your psychology, your mental, your how you logic, your emotion, your past experiences, all these kind of things, your aptitudes, the things you have an affinity for, your likes and dislikes, all that kind of stuff to make you someone called, I don't know, I'm gonna pick on Zeke, to make you someone named Zeke, right? Sometimes, like I can pick on myself too, to make me someone named Romel. Sometimes I can look at myself and based on my perspective, I can either view myself as something that is so empty or I'm something that's so full. But regardless, it's only a shift in my perspective in how I'm choosing to measure the same element or the same characteristic, the same to measure, or the same person is to measure me. However, I want you guys to understand that when you guys are being hard on yourselves, when you guys are thinking about life, when you guys are thinking about just what you have done and what you haven't done, how you are and how you are not, what you can do, what you can't do, what you and all that type of stuff, understand that all it is it's just a shift in perspective, but it never changed who you were. You're always been the same, okay? We can understand that this is nitrogen because if we are tracking of how much nitrogen absorbs, this is how much it absorbs. In other words, this is how full of light it is. Hear me. If we're trying to judge, keyword judge, or rather gauge or understand accurately what nitrogen is based off what they emit or what they reflect or what they express or what they give back to the world, then sometimes that person from that perspective will look very empty. And we only see this part of you, we only see a little bit of your fullness, okay? But it is this individuality that allows us to be able to understand what exactly you are and what exactly you do, okay? But what I'm saying is sometimes when we do this for ourselves, when we do this to ourselves, we get so like uh downhearted about our self-perception, which is rooted in other people's judgments and perception of us, right? And sometimes we might view ourselves in certain ways as being full of color and vibrant, and we know that. And sometimes we're viewing ourselves, if our emotional circumstances change, as like, I'm lacking. I'm lacking so much. I'm lacking. I don't know what to do. I'm not full of anything useful. The point is you absolutely are, because nitrogen is the absorption of all of this color, as well as the expression of these colors. And when you put them together, like we all look like this. There's no difference between us. Okay? Copy image. There's no difference between me and you. We because at the end of the day, we all are this. Think of this as God. Think of this as source. We all are this. However, we are all different expressions of this. Are you guys tracking me? I'm trying to help you emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, but I'm going to tie this directly back into the chart in just a moment. Okay? I need you to understand that you were always everything that you thought that you were. And you were never not anything that you needed to be. You're always everything you needed to be. You were always everything you ever thought you were, through your obedience and disobedience, through your mistakes and your not your not mistakes, through everything that you've done right or wrong, through all of the experiences that you've ever had, through all of the perspectives that have shifted as you have matured. You are you have always been this. Future Ninja just said we are what we are. What I'm trying to say is you are. You are, and you are what you are. It's just understanding that though you are. Okay? So, all right, Romel, good lesson. How does this tie into trading, nigga? Okay? Everything that I just did, this sort of analysis of this right here is once again, uh-oh. All of this is literally simplicity. Okay? It's simplicity. But look at how comprehensive it is. It had to get a little complex, but it's so simple. The answers truly are simple. The answers to life are the most simple answers out there. But you just gotta understand why. You gotta understand why that's the answer. You know what I mean? But it's simple. Now, everything that I just talked about is going to segue into like I said, what was missing from this was we had technicals, but now we don't have the simple human framework, which is going to be the trader that places the trade, because you have to understand that you are, okay, you are what you are, but you are, okay, you got to understand that you are, I'm just going to do me. You are Romel. You are, I'll do it like this. You are human. And then you are, like, in this case, let's just say like God. Right? You are Romel, you are human, you are God. There is a delineation to be made between what I am, right? One of them is supernatural. One of them is natural. And then another one is subjective. And I'm going to say subjective, and in a very weird way, I'm going to say slash real. Because this might confuse some people because they always say, like, okay, like, Romel, like, I used to say there's a difference between objective truth and subjective truth, but no, like, what is subjective is real. What is subjective is real. Because the truth is now all of these have branches. Okay? Like, because this is a tertiary level of awareness. When we actually branch out, say like if we want to start to analyze the supernatural, I have to understand, okay, how do I make it simple? I have to simply be literally I have to be in some way, in some weird way, I have to be God yet separated. Okay? And my awareness of this is just understanding that, like, we have a creator and then we are created, right? But then because of this reality that we live in, we were created by the creator to be a creator. And it's so weird, right? And you just start to get all of this wisdom, all of this revelation, blah, blah, blah. You feel like you don't start to unlock the keys to life and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Whatever. What I'm trying to get at is let's just kind of redo this. I'm gonna delete everything here and I'm gonna do a different approach. How many times can I? Oh, I'm so stupid. Let me just use the eraser. I'm over here spamming the undo button. All right. So let's go ahead and break it down to a little bit more of a individual level. Okay. Let's just say now my name is not you. Okay. This we aren't trying to dissect you at that scale of information. Keep in mind, like you should be hearing a lot of the phrasing that I'm using because when I make my video series, it's all gonna tie itself together. Scale. Remember how I say we trade at small scales or large scales? So everything I just did was super large scale. Let's bring it down a fractal. You feel me? And let's specify it with some nuances. Okay? We aren't just talking about a person anymore. We're talking about a person named Romel in the nuance or compared to the nuance or the vector, the field of trader, right? Or not in the field of trader, but in the field of trading. Okay. Romel, who is Romel when he participates in trading? Or you feel me, like in that field. Okay, well, Romel is a trader. Okay, Romel is a teacher, and then Romel is a still a human, right? I'm always a human. Or maybe we could just say like, okay, like this is me, like as a human right here. Like I'm a human. Because it doesn't have to get broken up into thirds. It can just literally get broken up into twos. Like in the trading space, I'm a trader and a teacher. Boom. So if I was to keep extending this branch out, okay, well, let's talk about Romel's identity. Yes, a person. We're all person. Exactly, a person versus a human. Thank you. Person, whatever, right? Bet. Person, teacher, whatever, right? And this is just to signify that this whole thing is me as a person. So if I want to dissect myself in my participation as a trader, I would have to go down that route. Okay. So the thing is, there's going to be an offshoot that is directly related to me as a trader, but there's also going to be this the person is going to come with me. All because I'm a trader now doesn't mean I stop being Romel. It doesn't mean that I'm not the person that says pause after someone says something about eating meat. I'm still gonna be me. What I'm trying to get at, I'm still gonna be me with my emotions, with my taste and preferences, with my likes and my dislikes, my values, and all of that. The pros and cons, my FOMO, my greeds, my seven deadly sins that we all have various ones that we primarily struggle with, whatever. All of that stuff is going to come with me into this role as a trader. Don't you guys understand that? Okay, so there's going to be another offshoot here that is going to be impacted based on not just what I am aware of as a trader, but also the awareness of me as a person. If I participate in life or in trading as a trader, right? And the point is that eventually in this particular field, if we are carrying with us, let's just say red is commonly associated with something bad. Let's just say I have a lot of negative energy up here, but I have a lot of positive energy down here. In other words, my heart is positive or positively aligned, but my mind is not, right? And I'm going into this thing as being a trader and I'm ambitious and I'm motivated and all this kind of stuff, but I might suffer from being a little like not disciplined, or I might have some FOMO, some mental battles, some stuff going on up here that I haven't yet reconciled or scrubbed through or something like that. That is going to get that all that's going to come up here and live in the role of being a trader with you. There's nothing that you can do to separate yourself from being from being there's nothing you can do to separate who you are from what you do. Okay? It's so you and to be honest, I don't think you should. I don't think that a holistic life is a life lived separate from yourself. I think, though, you do need to observe yourself in this sort of manner to understand how to properly facilitate who you are in the vector of participating as a trader. Okay. So now, with trading being such a mental and emotional pursuit, someone like this is gonna consistently be motivated, ambitious, and persevere, but they're gonna mentally just it's not gonna clock, right? And then the whole thing about it is you still have to understand, yo, that these two communicate. So if one of them is off, you might be sending some good energy up here while you're sending some bad energy down here. And it's just like in this tornado, in this environment where just look at how long it's taking me to explain who you are. And then whole time, this is trading. Trading is very one or zero. It's very plus or minus. It's very up or down. It's very yes or no. It's very good or bad. Like, it's very profitable. It's either very profitable or unprofitable. Like, this is the nature of the environment that we are trying to master. Okay, big or small, exactly, right? This is the nature of the environment that we're trying to master. Awareness is not enough. Just like how some of you have heard people say this cliche, love isn't enough sometimes. Okay, sometimes love in a relationship is not enough. How many of you guys agree with that? In some cases, for many people, like love ain't everything. Love is not enough. I've been in some very loving circumstances that have almost killed me, right? Love ain't enough. So then what is, right? In trading, passion is not enough. Awareness alone is not enough. The knowledge of the, like, your ability to articulate this is not enough. Why? Because you have to interact with this environment successfully, consistently, over time. You have to interact with this. So because simply being aware of it is not enough, you need to, like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta learn how to integrate into the nature of what the chart is. It's not enough alone to simply be aware. Okay? So, on the flip side, if this is our nature, we're so, like, I'm not even done because this is so complex, right? Like, but anyway, the point is, I'm saying is we're going to bring some of that negativity, or I'm just gonna call it unresolved nature, into our trading experience. Okay, we're gonna bring some of that unresolved tension, and then we're going to bring some of that positive as well. But the point is like, based on just how we are, based on what we're trying to do, and all that kind of stuff, that's either gonna make or break the trader. It doesn't make or break you. But it makes or breaks you as a trader. A lot of us, when we start trying to participate in different roles and functions, we don't know how to do that based on what the role is. Some roles, we no one has to teach us how to do it. We all have a proclivity, or hopefully you guys know what proclivity means. Like, we all have a natural ability um, to align and operate in certain roles naturally. So, for example, let's go down a brief list. Trader, right? You could be a parent. You could be a leader, but there's so many different types of leaders, right? Um, you can be a sibling. I'm trying to keep this broad, right? You can be a brother or a sister, a mother or a father. You can be a leader of certain sorts, right? A manager, a team lead, a CEO, a CFO. Like, you can lead a department or some anything. Parent, leader, sibling. You can be a servant, okay? There's no negative connotation with the word servant, bro. You can't learn how to lead if you don't know how to serve yet. And because leaders do what? Leaders leaders serve. They do. Leaders create a place where people can be served. A servant also serves, but a servant serves in a different way than a leader serves. A servant serves up, a leader serves down. And that's so, like, this is how my mind thinks. You know what I mean? A servant will serve upward, but a leader will serve downward, but they both serve. So you can't learn how to be a good leader if you don't know how to be a good servant, because they both serve. And there's a process called promotion or maturity. One doesn't just become a leader, one gets promoted up to leadership. Hopefully, with as deep as you guys are getting an awareness of, just watching me go through this analysis and how I keep getting sidetracked, okay? I want you guys to honestly understand I'm not necessarily asking for you to perceive anything that I'm saying as correct. I'm just honestly asking you to perceive the fact that my thought process is matured. What I put weight on has been thoroughly thought through. I didn't throw this shit together. I have thought about stuff like this on layers deeper than this for a very long time. Some of you who know. Okay? The overthinker in me has gone down so many rabbit holes just to understand that every rabbit hole stops at one place, and that place is called enough. Because sometimes in life, less is more. Sometimes in life, though, more is less. More money, less stress in some cases. Or in other, or, but you know, and then like say like if less is more, okay, less junk food, more slash better health, right? Whatever. More is less, less can be more. I understand that more is more, literally, like more equals more, less equals less as well. I've understood that everything can be nothing and nothing can be everything and everything is everything and nothing is nothing. I've understood this. But I've also understood that enough is enough. And when you really reach a level of like holistic living or at least awareness, you're never going to be experiencing a case where enough is not enough. Like I said, usually that's going to be an issue with perception and your literally your perception. Like I pulled up this image here where what are you judging? You know what I mean? Which perspective do you have, absorption or emission? You know, and sometimes like you would look at these little rays of light that do get reflected, and you're gonna be like, enough is not enough. But you aren't aware of exactly what you've been fashioned and designed to be in this world. So you feel like you're not enough when you always have been everything that you ever needed to be, right? It's usually rooted in perception. When you really get there, the rabbit hole ends in every vector, at least for me, subject to change, but right now everything ends at enough is enough. Even when I was trying to like on this trading journey, I had to ask myself, like, when am I going to stop learning? When am I going to make the decision to stop learning and start earning? When is enough knowledge and enough information and enough awareness about these charts in the mechanics? When will it be enough? So enough so I can go forward. Rabbit holes in when enough is just enough and you allow it to be nothing more. Okay? This is when you understand I have enough answers. Let me declutter. Let me strive for simplicity of complexity, right? And I'm telling you that rabbit hole ends at enough is enough. The answer that you're searching for, that we're often searching for, it doesn't exist here, not in this realm. Even mathematics can't prove itself. The only thing it can prove is that it's consistent. It can't even prove that its mechanisms for consistency are justified. I'm not going to start preaching. Okay? Like if mathematics can't even prove itself, and how can you? You know, like what, like it, basically what I'm saying is if mathematics alone and its logic can't even prove that its consistency can be counted on because it is able to validate and approve of itself. If you guys know mathematical theorems, I can talk about this later. Math, even math can't do it. It takes an outside or a third party or an observer or a user who participates and engages in math in order to judge its consistency from the outside looking in to put weight on it. Because if it tries to self reference itself, it's the paradox of self inference or self reference, it will always lead to an error. It won't compute. Its final answer is going to be erroneous. It can't prove itself. If that's mathematics, the most universal language out there, well, one of them, and it needs an outside party to approve of itself. That right there is proof enough to me that like there has to be a third party, a source, a God somewhere that's like, yeah, nigga, I've been trying to tell you, I approve of you this whole time. I've been approving of you the whole time. You have been self referencing yourself and you have been disproving yourself over and over. When the whole time I've been approving of you, that's why you can't hear me because we aren't on the same frequency. You don't have my mind that I think of you with, and you don't have the heart that I consider you with. I ain't really mean to go that deep. I'm still trying to work to my tangent about the chart. Um, so going back to this, okay? What I'm trying to say is if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, let's go back up here. Let's just scroll. Let's scroll up. The market moves fast and it moves slow. It moves up and it moves down. It's balanced and it's imbalanced. There's market structure, then there's price action. What is my job as a participant in this in this type of structure or framework, okay? My job as this very complex thing is to learn how to, I'm just gonna write it down. I don't have no more room. Uh psych I do. Just kind of scroll over here. My job is to, here, I'll just kind of like, I'll kind of just write over here in this area. Oh, yeah, I just made, oh, I did have more room. I'm tripping. All right, bet. My job, hello mouth, okay, is to, my job is to one, specify, okay? Damn, I just had it, bro. Hold on. I lost it. I had the perfect words for it. My job is to specify. Hold on. 1 second. Let me get my train of thought back. Market goes fast or slow, up or down, balance or imbalance. We have market structure and then we have price action. If this is who we are, oh, okay. Our job is to specify, right? I know why I said specify. And then we need to, okay. Our job as a trader is to specify and, I'm not gonna lie, judge. I wasn't gonna use this word, but I'm gonna use it because this is what we have to do. Okay. We have to literally make judgment calls. Is the market going up or is it going down? Now, I'm using this word specifically because isn't this a hard thing to do for a person who feels judged? Okay. Exactly. To make a judgment call, to judge the market, to judge is to judge it, right? To judge doesn't mean, because judge has negative connotation to it. The word judge, judgment, it has negative connotation. We don't like to be judged, blah blah blah. Okay? But at the same time, I know we've all watched American Idol or America's Got Talent. You want to you do want to be judged. You just weren't expecting the outcome of the judgment, or the outcome of the judgment wasn't favorable. Okay? That's where people usually have a problem. And so when the outcome of a judgment isn't favorable, then we start to, because of pride or entitlement, we start to blame the judger as opposed to accepting the judgment and then working on how we authored or facilitated the judgment. Okay? It's called accountability, right? Whatever. So, but our job as a trader is to specify and to judge. So specify, under the word specify, I have like in my mind that we are supposed to be um delineating. That's a big word. Let me just say separating. Um we're supposed to separate everything, in my opinion. Okay, keep in mind, all of this is subject to my opinion. This is Romel's framework. I've already put my disclaimer in there. I'm not saying that this is how you should do it. I'm telling you how I do it. Separate everything. And categorize it into two. Into two, or dualistic, whatever word. All these words are really, I do all three of these, okay? Two numerically, two qualitatively with the wording, and two as in what else is in that realm, dualistically. Okay. I categorize things into this and this and this. But notice how they're all different, but they're all the same. Do you guys understand the extent of my like thought process now? Okay. What I'm really trying to say is separate everything and categorize it into two things. That's all I'm trying to say. Categorize it into two things. But the thing is, though, when I'm categorizing things into two things, what realm? I'm trying to make sure I cover all my bases. So I'm categorizing it like this. Why? Because this, watch this, watch this. This is is this. This is this. Okay? The number 2 might be oxygen. However, the word 2, which means the same thing, might be hydrogen to me. Okay? And then the concept of separation of two things that were one thing, dualism, might be nitrogen to me. Do you guys understand the severity of why this is so important to do? If you remember, we come in threes. Let me say like 1, 2. Meaning that in order to have a full comprehensive understanding of something, okay, you need to have a dualistic understanding of it in 3 different realms, 3 different manners, or in 3 different ways, right? You need to balance this stuff out. You need to understand what it means like this. You need to understand what it means like this, and then you need to understand what it means like this. But you just have to understand what you just have to overall understand what this means. Okay? So there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of levels to it. I'm just, once again, I'm doing all of this not because I'm trying to teach you this right now, at least, or, I do have an interest in trying to teach people how to think efficiently and effectively and succinctly and everything like that to truly solve their problems. But what I'm more so doing is I'm trying to offer my thought process and the holistic nature of it, so you understand why I'm saying the things that I'm going to be saying as I teach what I teach as it pertains to the chart, as to why I believe this is all you really need to know. Because Romel is not going to say that the only thing you need to know is market structure or price action or this or that. I'm going to tell you why I believe this covers the bases really well for you to be a consistently profitable trader. And you can have an edge in one of these realms. That's no problem. Okay. All right. So what I'm trying to say is my job as a trader, okay, is to specify, and that is to separate everything into 2 things. And the purpose of that is so I can judge it. Because it's easy to judge 2 things. Okay? It's easier to keep track of 2 things. How many of you guys can juggle 2 balls? Pause. Uh, He said, nah. He said, nah, bro, you tripping. He said, pause, but nah. Okay. He said, I just pulled up. That's the first thing I heard, bro, in the stream. My bad, bro. My bad for everybody tuning in, yo. Look, what I'm trying to say is like, it's hot. Um, uh, isn't it easier to juggle two things than three? Like, like if you've ever tried to juggle something before, I'm sure we've all tried to juggle. We've all tried it, right? You got one, okay, cool, whatever. Then you got two. Yeah, I can do that. That's easy. And then as soon as you got that third one, it's like, whoa, it's a whole different process. You gotta like keep track of that. And you only got two hands, and it's just like, whoa, I don't get it. I ain't gonna lie. So, um, now, maybe a lot of you guys don't have this problem, but I do, okay? Let me be the first person to say that I don't say everything I say to sound smart, or none of that stuff, bro. Because to be honest with you, um, very complex things are so, whoa, wait, let me rephrase. Um, what am I trying to say? My mom knows how I am, right? It's my mom. Like, I find it very difficult to make sense of simple things. I find it very difficult to act on simple information. Okay. Um, really. And I think now that I think about it, and don't quote me on this, but this might be the difference between someone who's like not neurally untypical or like not autistic versus someone who's just normal, and I think like the majority of the world has autistic traits or whatever the case is, where I believe maybe there is a level of like simpleness that is enough to operate and they work well with it, but I can't do simple things. However, I know how to make very complex things simple. I know how to find simplicity. So I usually have like a lot of people around me that are practical or that are able to give practical advice because for some reason they have a better relationship with simpleness than I do. And sometimes I envy them for that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, awareness is not enough. Look at how much I know, right? And as you go through the course or whatever my teachings, look at how much you will learn or have learned, okay? Yet awareness and knowledge is not enough because there's still an application or there's still a process that you have to go through in order to apply the awareness, to apply the knowledge. And that's something that I've still been actively working on for myself, not because I'm a bad trader, but because, like I stated, and like how many of us, experience this truth, that you carry who you are into your trading career. So, as I am trying to fix and resolve myself, my persona, my characteristics, my flaws, okay? Those things show up in this trader space. So there's a difference between teaching you this and understanding things technically and then equipping you or working on you, the human, the person, to actually be the trader that can trade. Okay. And it's awareness is not enough, knowledge is not enough sometimes. Okay. The easiest way to understand this is something that we've all done, right? We've all downloaded some software. We've all downloaded an application. And I think it's so ironic that we call it an application, right? Because if you think about it, you receive the download, which is the knowledge, then you go through the installation process, and then you have something on your hardware, your human body, your flesh, your mind, and your brain and your heart. Like you have something in your hardware that is now called an application. And when you have the application, that is the goal that we're all trying to get to, right? We are trying to apply the knowledge. We are trying to get the download, and then we're trying to mature it and upload it into action. Okay. And so understanding that there's a process, because I used to be so confused. I used to be like, how come I can't act on what I know? Does anyone else ever feel like that? Like you have wisdom, you have knowledge, and you just can't seem to do what you just know you should do? There's like you're at war with yourself constantly, but you're not trying to be at war with yourself, but you just are, and you don't know why. Okay. Is because there's a delineation between the person or the persona, the part of you that wills to do something, and then the flesh or part of you that naturally aligns against it. Okay? Two different parts of you. And so this process of discipline is a hard one because it means that now you have to like approve of, think think of, and cater to, give leadership to, and serve the higher self that you harbor, while abasing and subjecting, lowering um, your lower self to follow in line, right? But like I said, all of us have an element in us that serves up and an element that serves down. Yet we both serve, and we're both housed in the same host, and one lead, and one is known as a leader, and one is a servant. Okay? And this is how we really need to get our lives in order. There's a part of us that has to die, that their lust and their desire and their ego for leadership to be out of place, they need to get put in their place. And it is a conscious choice, and it's not going to be nice, it's not going to feel good, okay? And then the higher self that actually has the will and the desire to do what is aligned for yourself, for your life, that observer has to take charge, okay? And that is the order of a well regulated, forward progressing person, okay? And so, like, there's so many Bible references on this where it talks about, like, Paul writes, like, I have to die daily. Every day is a dying, but, like, it's just like I experience a daily death, right? But I've learned, and this is me, I'm injecting my understanding into it, but I've learned to find peace in it because if I die daily, I resurrect daily also. I experience revival every single day. Every single day, I'm experiencing life over again. I'm experiencing the fruit of being able to enjoy something after something has passed away. Like, you know, and then he goes on to continue to write where he says like, the things that I want to do, I don't do. And the things that I don't want to do, those things I do. Right? Oh, what wretched man am I? Like, who will save me from this? You know what I mean? Um, and that's just what it is, right? Where there's this part of us that wants to be served but does not deserve service. Okay? It's very entitled, and we need to put it into its proper place. And once it actually learns and sees the fruit of what it's like to be in service to our soul, our mind, our higher self, in the directions that we desire, not fleshly. Don't think with your dick, okay? Don't do that, right? Don't think with your coochie. We just got X-rated for a moment, right? Don't think with your hunger pain. Don't think with how heavy. Don't think with how heavy your heart feels when you think back to the trauma. Don't act out of those places. Don't act out of that lust. Those seven deadly sins. Those are all fleshly, bodily desires. Okay, they have to be abased, and you have to understand that this human body is supposed to serve upward, and the soul and the mind is supposed to serve downward, right? Serve, well, no, the soul serves down, the mind serves both the soul and the body. It's the medium, okay? It's the mind, the mental is the thing that allows for that resonance and that harmony that I talked about earlier, that reverberation between your higher being, your soul, and your fleshly body, your human form, to communicate, to exist, right? So then, how do you get the body under subjection? The pathway is through the renewing of your mind. Everything that I just did was I just gave you the gospel. This is what Jesus has taught, not what mainstream Christianity taught. Jesus taught that you are. Jesus taught that if you see me, you see him. Jesus taught that as within, so without. Jesus taught, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Jesus taught that, behold, all things pass away and all things become new. Jesus taught that you can be reborn. People questioned him and was like, how can a man and a woman or whatever be reborn lest they enter into their mother's womb again? Right? There's answers for that. Go read what that man had to say and stop listening to what all of these hurt people have put out there. And they call it church. Okay? I'm not anti ministry. This is my church. This is my ministry. If I was really supposed to structure everything we got going on here, it should be a nonprofit organization. And it should be collecting donations and offerings. It should be a charity. Okay? It's really a church. But but it's my ministry. But what I'm saying, guys, is like, this is the way. It's always been the way. And I think it's so interesting and it's so fascinating how a pursuit to trade can be so transformative. Um, it's just interesting, like how many people I've led to God, or either led to like being open to open up to reopen those dialogues and those pathways back to a place outside of themselves. Okay, through the charts and through trading, more than I ever have actually trying to sit down and talk to somebody about God and why God is important and why you can't do nothing without him, right? People shut me out. As soon as I open my mouth to say that, but as soon as I make the connections and I show them that like, yo, low key, um, the same answer for you to be a profitable trader is also the same answer for you to live the most holistic life you've ever lived. And they're just kind of like, wow, you know? But why do I have this weird sort of like godly trading sort of fused thing going on? And it was because once upon a time, I listened to things that people said in the church. I had been manipulated by people who I had looked up to, um, that were ministers. I had been gaslit. I experienced my own church hurt. I mean, my dad was a pastor or ex-preacher before I was born, and even then, I was subject to a lot of uh, his ways behind closed doors. I was tired of the fact that like things are always different in public than they are in private. Like I grew up very confused by religion, and I just was like, I'm hearing and listening to what they're saying this religion is about, but I'm not seeing it. And how come I'm not seeing it? Why am I experiencing more kindness and more gentleness and more patience and more love and all these fruits of the spirit? Why am I experiencing this more from people who are anti-Christian even sometimes, or who just aren't religious? Like, why are some of my best and closest friends not Christian? What's going on here? And then I, lived through my own experiences of like being like, okay, God, like feel like I did everything the way I was supposed to do it. Why did this happen? And it doesn't feel fair. And so when I left the religion, I didn't realize that I left God also, because I was taught growing up that my religion is God. Like if I leave this religion, then I'm leaving the only God that can actually matter. So it's like, okay, well, I did. And I deliberately strayed away from Christianity for 2 months, and I suffered for 5 years straight. And my pathway back to God was a very long one. And I had a lot of people that helped me in the process. Um, and but the way back to God was such an unorthodox one. It wasn't a religious pathway that took me to God. It was literally a pathway of mental renewal, just as Jesus teaches. And no matter how far I tried to go to search for an answer, no matter what science I found, no matter if I analyzed arithmetic and mathematics, and no matter if I analyzed nature and patterns, no matter if I analyzed systems, my human body, everything had the same structure and everything pointed to the same answers. And I realized that, like, wow, at the end of the day, if you are on a genuine pursuit to find God, no matter what route you go down, you'll there's a clue that points directly to him if you go far enough. And that was kind of how I figured my way back. Okay. And so now that I have downloaded all of that wisdom, I know that that wisdom and all this kind of stuff needs to be applied. I'm in the installation process. In order to install something that you already download, you still have to make the decision to open up the file and click the run button. You have to run with what you know. And if you don't run what you know, then you won't get to the stage of life to where everything has been applied, that you are actively applying what you know, that you now understand the learning curve of the application you're wielding. or you're using and you're fluent in it, and it takes time. So there's two ways to trade. I said this a long time ago. You can trade and learn to trade in such a way that's going to work for the long run, and you really know it, and no one can ever take it away from you, and it can get established in your bloodline and be passed on from generation to generation. Or you can just trade for the money and just live your life right now. There's nothing wrong with either way. Because eventually, what is the goal? The goal is to, regardless of how much you know, it is to trade for the money at the end of the day. That is why we are here. That is why you guys are listening to me. Okay. But notice how there is a big war between doing this for money and then doing this for and unto God and for the purpose of the renewing of your mind and becoming a better person for the sake of maturity, for the sake of not being the person who needs to find another way to make money. If you guys really were tapped in, you would understand that God would actually take care of you if you chose to. If let's just say if trading really wasn't for you and you really allowed yourself to be renewed and transformed in this manner, you was really tapped in, God would suddenly open up doors and opportunities for you to make money, stable income without having to trade all of your hours for that income if you just gave up on trading. I think my Discord crashed, Brody. My Discord be crashing. Oh, never mind. My Discord crashed. Okay. So literally, right now, I'm not telling you guys to give up on trading. I'm not telling you guys to do that. Discernment is necessary, right? And sometimes we only clean ourselves up to as good as we can perceive ourselves as clean. Sometimes it takes a third party, someone on the outside looking in. It takes a village, it takes a community to be like, hey, brother, hey, sister, like, um, first and foremost, you've done good. You've done great here and here, and I've been seeing your efforts here and here. But from the outside looking in, do you think you have bandwidth to hear some, like some thoughts that I might have? I don't want to feed anything to you that you might not be ready to hear, or that you might be too, are you in a sensitive season, or are you open for criticism, right? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Right? Boundaries are important. Hey, look, at the end of the day, like I've been noticing, for the past couple of weeks, you've been displaying this behavior, and you know, we all know that that behavior isn't going to withstand the test of time. And I think that, I'm struggling with that as well. So maybe we can hold each other accountable. That's why I came to you. Or be like, and well, you know what? Um, that's something that I just recently figured out, and I'm just wondering if I could just help you and offer some insight because I care about you, right? That's the kind of community that I'm trying to build here. I don't want you guys to just be in this group on some type of timing where it's like, um, we just listen to Romel, and just listen to Zeke, and we just listen to Angel, we just listen to Rio, we just listen to whoever's here. No, like I want y'all to like work on yourselves and listen to each other because everyone here has substance. I'm just a nigga, bro. I'm just a nigga that doesn't know how to do certain things and knows how to do other things. Okay? So I'm gonna need help in the realms and in the ways that I don't know how to do things. And you know, like I said, what makes us individual, um, like what makes us, like what we are. um, a lot of us coming together is going to create a picture that looks very full and full of color, right? So for example, say like if say like if someone is like oxygen and they got a lot of little like greenish yellow hues, some yellow, orange, and red in there, but they're missing all the blues. Okay, well then they need to get partnered up with somebody who has the blues to offer. And that's how you get a little bit of a more full picture. And the more of us that actually comes together, the better of a picture, the better of a group, the better of a village we're going to have to be able to support each other, hopefully in like a lifelong manner, if that's something that some of you guys desire. Okay. And so even someone who's like this they're still so necessary because do we want any missing pieces? No. Can we function without missing pieces? Absolutely. Hydrogen can do what hydrogen can do, and and oxygen could never. Hydrogen can fit into the spaces oxygen would never be able to fit into, right? So when there becomes a very specific, time or an environment for you to be of use, you have to be able to at least recognize your usefulness, which means that I need you to take out time to scrub through who you are. Okay? I really do. And it's not only to help you as a trader, but it's also to like help me. It's to help others. It's to help the group. It's to help your children, to help this world that you're a part of and the human race that you're a part of. At the end of the day, can we save everyone? No. Will everything come to an end? Yes. Will there be another big reckoning of humanity at some point? Yeah. There will be a new, some type of disaster. There always is every so often. But I mean, does that mean that you should stop being a human and you should stop caring and you should stop trying, you know, to be better and to stop trying to evolve and stop trying to be a part of the life that we lived? Should that mean Does that mean you should stop trying to become the butterfly that you're destined to be, even though you were born a caterpillar, right? Does that mean if you are a butterfly that you should be able to dog walk your life back to being a caterpillar? Don't do that. It's impossible. You've already experienced the metamorphosis and you've already experienced the transformation. Don't go back, you know? And so there's a difference between transformation and true transformation, right? True transformation is metamorphosis. You can't dog walk it back. Sometimes when you get into the awareness of something so true, you can't go back. It's impossible. You know what I mean? And for those of you who do, you got to understand when that caterpillar says no more caterpillar and it says yes to butterfly, you got to understand in a very weird way that caterpillar died, yet it still stayed alive. But that caterpillar died, yo. It no longer exists. Same with you. Are you able to die yet still exist? If the answer is no, learn how to do so. Once you figure out the keys to do that, that is when the life that you're living starts to look like a life worth living. All right. So, anyway, 2 hours and 19 minutes so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Uh, it was a good synopsis of everything I'm gonna be talking about. And like I said, I'm gonna start my YouTube stuff up again. If you're here watching me right now on the channel and you've made it this far to the end, type butterscotch in the chat. Butterscotch. Leave everyone guessing, right? The fact that you sat through this and made it through to the end, that's gonna let me know just what type of person you are. Okay. And that's a person that I value. Okay. You Just like everything I've taught here, you desired a full, comprehensive understanding of everything that this one long video had to offer, and you watched it through all the way to the end. Thank you. I appreciate it. Um, and I look forward to connecting with you in some type of way. And that's about it, bro. So with that said, what is today? It's Thursday. Okay. Tomorrow's Friday, or it's already the Friday trading day. I want you to make a decision and a choice to enjoy your Friday, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of how it feels. I want you to enjoy your Friday. Enjoy what you have the opportunity to participate in. Enjoyment. Enjoy going to the gym even though you don't want to work out. Enjoy the participation of being a living person. Enjoy the fact that, like, just enjoy it. Be radical and enjoy it. Enjoyment is a choice. I can listen to music that I don't like and choose to enjoy it. Enjoyment is a choice. Okay? Make that choice. Stay positive. And I'll talk to y'all later. I might do a stream on Saturday still. Okay?